All right, folks, if you're seeing this right now, just hang on with us. I'm going live here today on Facebook from the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors page, as well as my own personal profile, Periscope, YouTube as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, for those of you who are not aware, my name is Mark Guzan. I am a two-time executive director of two national associations, as well as founder of the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors, the association for those of you who serve as volunteer members of boards of directors of nonprofits, charities, associations, foundations, and the like, as well as founder and president of our Executive Director Association Management Services. I'm joining you today back here from a co-working space from where the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors and our Executive Director operate here in our wonderful offices here in Gatineau, Quebec, Canada this morning. And I'm going to be addressing today a subject that I have heard often enough coming up time and time again from the most motivated people who serve on the boards of non-for-profits and associations. People would say to me, Mark, I get the feeling sometimes that we have some people who serve on the boards of these or on our board simply because they want to have the title onto their resume. They show up, if they show up at all, unprepared, uncommitted, they don't follow up on their commitments or at best, sometimes they just keep quiet the whole time and don't really contribute, and which leaves some of the most motivated people on the board, particularly even the board chair who's trying to get a plethora of different ideas and contributions. They're wondering, what was the purpose in you serving if you're not going to contribute anything at all? So we're going to be talking today about what to do with nonprofit board of directors who are seat warmers, we like to call them. That's the nicer way of saying that. So again, just for housekeeping purposes today, we're going live, as I mentioned, on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as Periscope. If you want to be able to participate in the discussion, there's a link down below where you can click that, get into the Zoom room, and you actually can interact and chat and take part in the chat in there. I'd love to have you as part of the discussion. So if you're part of this as well, just listening in on one of the feeds, I mentioned the social media feeds, leave a little hashtag saying live play, that'd be great. If you're there, if you're watching this in the replay, say hashtag for replay, much appreciated. If you leave a comment, you're interested as well, I can send you a link for the recording and or even the transcripts of today. So how many of you are really interested in learning about what to do about nonprofit board seat warmers? Sometimes a little bit more negatively, some call them as the trolls on the board there. I won't get into that there. There's a variety of reasons for this. So if you're interested in knowing about this, heart this, please, at all. If you're on Facebook, all the other social platforms as well. From what I've been told, they like the hearts more than they like the lights, the thumbs up. So and you'd be helping us and get the algorithm out in the message as well for the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors, which is all about upping the standard of leadership on non-for-profit boards everywhere. So there are basically two things. I'm going to get back into this. Two things that you can do both from a short-term perspective and from a long-term perspective in changing the dynamic around and working with these individuals to get them engaged or make them to realize that maybe this isn't their thing so that you can see the space for others to get on board. So starting first and foremost with the short term. One of the most important things that you need to do right from the beginning is if you're seeing that some particular board member is struggling, they're not participating, they're just not in with the flow, it's really incumbent upon the board chair or leaders on the board as well to check in with them. Ask them very much if the board service that they're experiencing is in line with their expectations as well. Often people have an expectation for wanting to join a board. After all, I've said this many other times before, this is an unpaid role. And as such, you've got to be willing to make certain that their expectations are matched up with this as well. The second thing that you need to do is reaffirm the expectations of all board members at each and every one of your board meetings, all right? You should be going in and starting your board out there with a bit of a statement and saying, our expectation of performance of our board is XYZ. Is everybody in line with this as well? That's really a subtle way of reinforcing the behavior. As I've said before, in a number of other videos as well, you set low expectations, you will get low returns. You set high expectations, you will get higher returns as well. I say all of that, of course, in line with the need for being sensitive at the same time for what may be going on in people's lives. Perhaps there's a health reason. There's a family issue that's coming up, a career issue that's just pulled them, career or business issue that's just pulled them aside for something like this. You need to be able to have a frank dialogue with them to be able to see where and what that's going on. And if there is an issue of that, to be gently suggest to them that maybe it's time for a transfer, it's the time to advise of a transfer of responsibilities down to some other board members or other volunteers or staff that can be able to pick up that slack. Don't be afraid to have the tough conversations, okay? Problems fester on boards and in nonprofit organizations when the conversations don't happen. Everything should be done diplomatically and with tact and with care and respect for the individual in the case. But their lack of performance or their inability or whatever they may be going into life should not be a deterrent towards the organization moving forward as well. That's the short term. In the long term of things as well, you should really be thinking about a few things as a board. One, survey all of the board members at least once a year, maybe twice a year for what makes a valuable board participation for them. That's really important because you need to have a feedback to make certain that the discussions at board meetings, committee meetings, the like, are personally and intellectually stimulating. They drive someone's passion to want to volunteer as well. On the long term as well, I've said this many times as well, and this also relates to the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors Standard, a book that we have out called 20 questions to vet, recruit, and retain the best of board members as well. You can find the link as well. If you're interested in that link, send me a message and I can get that out to you. But right from the beginning, you as a board need to be setting out some standards, some recruitment standards of what it is that makes for a good board member, okay? You need to be asking good and tough questions, setting out high expectations so that, again, you get high returns. You need to know as well, as I said earlier, understand people's why. This said, as part of one of those questions is why people are expectations. It's also related to what I was saying earlier in terms of the interview process and also the survey process that I was speaking of earlier. Knowing people's why. Why do they volunteer? As I like to often say, a little bit of tongue in cheek, I've yet to meet a board member who's passionate about doing the minutes, okay? People generally join a board because they have a desire to want to give back. They want to grow personally. As one board member told me, and I asked him frankly up front, why did he do this? He said, I want to meet people who are smarter than me. Interesting, no? You need to treat as well, another tactic in the long term is think about how you recognize your board volunteers, your board and your volunteers as well. Finding ways as well to make certain that you treat them like the stars that they really are. Compensation for many of them is just a sense of the personal gratitude as well. So I ask you as well, as part of your board onboarding process, what have you developed in terms of recognition for people who donate their time, their skills, and sometimes open up their checkbook or their Rolodexes towards donors and the like? And finally, this is so important. It gets sometimes overlooked in the process and the need for getting things done. You know, whether it's a capital campaign that needs to get out, we need to be talking about the line-by-line revision of the of our governance policies, our finances, whatever, all important. But sometimes through this process, we can lose touch with the heart. We can lose touch for a reason why people volunteered in the first place. You need to be itching out a small point, at least a small part of your board meetings and your communications out to the membership, to your supporters, to boards as well, a reminder of why the organization's mission is so important, what they're accomplishing together as a group. Inspire. I firmly believe that nonprofits place a role and an opportunity for us to inspire to our highest desires and initiatives in society. And if you can make that link between what the organization is accomplishing to do, trying to accomplish, and what the board's role in the leadership towards accomplishing this, you can perhaps just make that one more step closer towards making the link towards what they're doing and the time that they're taking apart from their family, their work, their career, etc., and the mission that they're working towards accomplishing. Okay, so if you take a little bit of these two aspects of the short-term and the long-term strategies towards engaging with the board, with board members, reminding them about the mission, but also as a final point, above all, you need to make the point to board members of what their expectations are of those, and if some point in time, not being afraid as well to have the tough conversations. If you want to learn more about what other nonprofit board members, the most motivated of all, are finding that's working, I encourage you to learn more about what they're doing in light of this in the forums, as well through membership in the Society of Nonprofit Board Directors. You can find that at nonprofitboarddirectors.org. You want to learn more about the resources such as 20 questions to vet, recruit, and retain the best of board members. Leave a comment down below as well. Thanks everyone, and we look forward to your involvement and your engagement. Thanks so much.